Rolling. Welcome in episode number 7 of the S0ner Sports Podcast. I am here with my man Cole Murphy, here giving you all
What's
the
up?
action today. Cole, how are you doing?
We're doing great. We're doing good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Um, so today's episode, we will be going over last weekend's games, and we'll be previewing this weekend's games for October 15th. Big week 7 for a lot of teams. We'll give you our Heisman updates, and then we'll visit the S0ner Sportsbook to see what happened with our parlays and our locks of the week. And then we will be re-ranking the top 10 teams in the country and see how bad we make your fan base upset. And then how bad is OU in general, and how bad are they at quarterback if Dylan Gabriel gets hurt again this year? How screwed are the Sooners? We will touch base with all those headlines in this episode. So sit back, strap in, and welcome in to this episode number 7 with us. So Cole, give us your impressions of this last weekend of games that we had on the slate for week 6.
Man, a lot of games, a lot of good games. Let me check and see the final scores for those real quick. I'm on it right here. But it was a good week. I mean, a lot of good games, a lot of unexpected upsets for sure. Wish Kansas would have pulled it out for sure, but let's see here. Pretty much expected. One of the favorites was that Oklahoma Baylor. Oklahoma State ends up taking care of business there. So good job, Pokes.
Yeah, big win for them over Texas Tech over the weekend.
And I was on the wrong week. There we go. There we go. So, yeah, Texas ends up just crushing Oklahoma. Oklahoma State taking care of Texas Tech. Tennessee blows out LSU. Then UCLA getting the job done against Utah as well.
Yeah, those were kind of most of like the big games that we had
Yeah.
going on. Really another big one that was Texas A&M and Alabama. That one coming down to the last play. Texas A&M trying to launch a little flare route to the bottom pylon, and it's just a yard short of the end zone, even if it was caught, but it was not. And Alabama survives down there at Kyle Field. What was your takeaway from Alabama rolling with their backup quarterback against a Texas A&M team that's kind of been disappointing?
Yeah, I mean, it's what you got to do. You want Bryce Young to be at least healthy for the rest of the season. I mean, pulling him out was probably the best call there. Way too close of a call for the Roll Tide with that coming down to that last play at the end. I didn't like the play call that Texas A&M did call, but I mean, it's going to come down to like that against Bama. So
Yeah, it was a really close game. Georgia took care of Auburn. We already touched on that 32-point uh, loss there uh, for the Tigers, and Georgia gets the job done and looks every bit of the number 2 team in the country. At least that's what they were this last week. So they looked every bit of the part. Michigan took care of Indiana 31-10. So they beat a really bad Hoosier team, and there was really no shock in that one. Clemson beat up on Boston College as they should, 31-3. That LSU Tennessee game was all Volunteers, 40-13. And then Ole Miss took care of Vanderbilt 52-28. Utah, that big loss to UCLA on the road, and it's a big confidence booster for the Bruins. How big of a threat do you think UCLA is to anybody up top of the Pac-12 right now?
I think they're looking good. Offense is definitely rolling for sure. I'm not sure about their defense too much, but their offense is definitely putting up the points.
Yeah, they're looking every bit the part of somebody that's little threatening. Oregon, the Ducks take care of Arizona 49-22. Big upset over the weekend. South Carolina and Spencer Rattler upset Kentucky 24-14. Of course, Kentucky without their starting quarterback. Um, where do you see Kentucky if Will Levis can't return for the Wildcats? Do you think they just completely just fall off the map over there in the SEC?
I actually got them winning this week. I think they play Mississippi State, I believe. I actually have them winning this week, but yeah, if that quarterback's not there, I'm not really sure who their backup is. So I mean, it could be a rough rest of the season for them.
Yeah, it didn't look too good uh, for the Kentucky Wildcats. Kaya Sharon is the backup there for the Wildcats, and he only threw for 178 yards, but it was more than Spencer Rattler threw for. So because he led the game in passing, so
Mm.
that was kind of an interesting takeaway from that game. Um, NC State, they barely beat Florida State 19-17. They kind of looked a little shaky as well, but we kind of figured that coming from NC State. What were your takeaways from that game?
It was that game for sure. Let me see the final on that.
It was 17-19.
17-19. Okay. Yeah, that was definitely
17-19
a good
NC
game for
State.
sure. Little too close call, I believe, but that's definitely still a good game for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a decent win. I mean, Florida State's not trash this year, but I mean, it just doesn't do much for me as far as like, oh, NC State, they only lost to Clemson by 10. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I just feel like their season's kind of over as far as like playoff potential um, for the Wolfpack. Um,
Hopefully a good bowl game for them at least.
yeah, and then Notre Dame got the big upset win over BYU, 28-20. Um,
Yeah, that was surprising for sure.
Yeah, BYU didn't look good at all. And then you did talk about that TCU Kansas game. TCU gets the win 38-31. Max Duggan throws for 308 yards. Kendre Miller, 88 rushing yards for the Horned Frogs to lead the way in that game as well. So not a lot of rushing for the Kansas Jayhawks, but being the backup quarterback looked pretty good. I think he's going to have to be the one to take snaps this weekend against Oklahoma, so that'll be interesting to see how he plays against the Sooners. What was your kind of takeaway from this TCU Kansas game? That was pretty good all the way through.
Yeah, I got a lot to say on this game at least. With the backups and quarterback and running back for Kansas, that definitely was a disadvantage for them, but they showed up. I mean, the quarterback Bean, he did really well. I think he had set a record for backup quarterbacks in that game, so very impressive. And I think he does a good job with OU this week. But I think the refs blew two calls there at the end with it was a passing interference, I believe, and then it was just a no call. So I think Kansas ended up getting ripped off there, but it was still a good game.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting game to keep tabs on. That early 11 a.m. kick was not preferable for a lot of people, but ended up being a pretty decent game for the most part. Other games that went on, Mississippi State beats Arkansas 40-17. What are your thoughts on Mississippi State? I mean, Mike Leach has those boys playing good. You have them losing this weekend to Kentucky. Um, but you said that does that depend on whether Kentucky has Will Levis or not, or do you don't think it matters and Kentucky gets the win anyways? But what are your thoughts overall on just
Yeah,
Mississippi State?
it depends. Yeah, if their quarterback's in, but I don't think they're a bad team. I just think Kentucky's definitely going to beat them this week.
Yeah, hey, that's not a bad statement. Do you think Mississippi State's a real competitor when it comes to being a threat for anybody else in the SEC or no?
Uh, prob I don't think they're like a huge threat, but I mean they're not a bad squad. They're like a solid team all around, but they're definitely not top team in the SEC at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit it right on the nose. Um, and then let's talk about it. Let's get it out of the way here because this was kind of um a little bit of like the last of kind of the really really good games. Um, did have a couple other ones with unranked teams like UNC and Miami that came down to a 3-point game. North Carolina gets the win 27-24. Not really much to do there. Georgia Tech in overtime beats Duke 23-20. So the ACC, had some really good games to watch if you're into unranked mid teams and you want to just fill time. But none of those teams with any playoff expectations, or really, I mean, I don't know. Is North Carolina the last hope to beat Clemson? Probably. I don't know if anybody else really can handle what Clemson's thrown at them after NC State lost to them. I kind of felt like that was like the last kind of hurdle.
Hopefully Notre Dame.
Yeah, say that again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hopefully Notre Dame beats them. But no, you're good. Hopefully Notre Dame beats them. I mean, that's probably them and NC State are the only people that could beat them there.
Yeah, I mean, that Notre Dame game on November 5th is definitely going to be one to clear your calendar for. But let's talk about it. Texas whoops up on OU 49-0. Davis Beville will start for the Sooners. Played terrible. Nick Evers took maybe one snap late in the fourth. I mean, it was just horrific. OU's yardage came really from a Wildcat split back set out of the gun with Braden Willis as quarterback, and then two halfback set kind of interchanged the whole day beside him with like a triple option kind of feel to it. And on the other side, Quinn Ewers, 289 yards, Bijan Robinson 130 on the ground, and it was just all Texas all the time. No points for OU, just terrible. Eric Gray throws a jump pass that, I mean, your grandmother could have picked that pass off. It was literally just literally right to him. What was your takeaways from OU just getting their dick just caved in?
Man, that first possession, OU had that stop, and I might have thought something was going to go OU's way, but yeah, after that possession, it was all Texas from there. It was embarrassing. I don't think OU's ever been beat that bad by Texas, and
That is a fact, yes.
I just don't know if it was just the players or if it was just a long day for OU or what really happened. But definitely Sooners need to figure something out because props to Texas for sure because they definitely played a good game and they looked good, but OU just looked awful.
Yeah, it did not look good on any side of the ball. Woody Washington, when they were only down 7-0, drops a pick as well in that first quarter, and I thought that could have been the turning point to give OU a chance to at least score. They hadn't been shut out in like forever. So, I mean, it was just, OU setting records in the wrong way, every which way, and Texas, marking this one down as one of the best beatdowns of OU in program history because it is the best, but you have to factor in that Dylan Gabriel didn't play, and I don't know if it would have mattered that much, but you at least probably would have scored. And I think that was kind of the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hear this from Texas fans for the next decade. I mean, they're going to talk about this forever. It was a good win, but yeah, I never liked OU's offense going in there. I don't think they should have started Bevel after last game. There's just so much I could say on OU, what they should have done differently. But I mean, I never liked any of their game plan from the jump, and Texas to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a week to prepare for this game, and that's what you trot out there, a Wildcat set for like 70% of the offensive snaps. I mean, it just didn't make sense to me. It was just like you have a whole week, and then Jeff Lebby has the gall and the audacity to stand up there at the press conference and go, "Oh, Davis Beville gave us the best chance to win this game. Like nobody else would have given us a chance. That's our dude." I'm like, if that's your dude took like 4 snaps that whole entire game. The rest of the time you had him lined up at wide receiver, and God knows why. I have no idea. Like, if you're just going to not use him, put somebody else in there that can actually block somebody. I just didn't get it. Like, I was just like, there's no point in just having him out there. It just was ridiculous. I just didn't see what the point was of even having him out there if you're not even going to use him. And then sit here and just lie to our faces and be like, yeah, Davis Beville gave us the best chance. Like, General Booty didn't take a snap. Sure, we got to see Nick Evers, but his only pass was thrown into the dirt, and the other ones were handoffs. And then he was quickly yanked, and Beville was put back in. I just, what were we doing? I mean, I say we, but I mean, like, what was OU doing? It just doesn't make any sense. it was just a big clusterfuck of like we have no idea how to not lose this game without Dylan Gabriel. It just was so bad. And so I mean, yeah, I think that's just kind of the only takeaway from that game, really. And let's touch a little bit on this OSU Texas Tech game because I think that we kind of forget that Oklahoma State came into this game ranked seventh in the country. Texas Tech did not have their
Hmm.
starting quarterback, and OSU drops a spot in the poll after beating Texas Tech by 10. I mean, why do you think that is? And what were your thoughts on this game overall?
I think they just looked a little sloppy. I feel like they should have scored more points. OSU being seven in the country and as good as they played so far, especially taking care of Baylor like they did the previous week. Uh, I feel like that's why they dropped them. And I also just think the other teams above them have more ranked wins, so maybe that might be the case as well. Not really sure, but it wasn't a bad game. I mean, Texas Tech's backup came in, right? And I think he did a good job, but OSU just looked a little sloppy this week, so or this past week, so
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. I mean, I think that when you have a backup quarterback drop 31 points on your defense, and that was kind of
yeah.
oh, the defense is playing so well, like look at how they played against Baylor, like it was so impressive, and then, but I think, and this is just a theory here, but do you think the lack of film on this second string quarterback maybe played into the fact that he could exploit the defense a
Yeah.
little more because they didn't really know what his abilities were, and so I think that the defense was kind of maybe caught off guard about how talented this kid is. And I mean, I don't know. He led the game in passing, 379 yards. I mean, Bayron Morton. Never heard of the guy's name in my life, but if he's better than OU's backup quarterback, I mean, I just don't know, man. I mean, I think the biggest. We'll talk about this later, but I just think I think that that's probably wise. You had a backup quarterback throw for almost 400 yards on you, and you didn't have any film on him.
Yeah.
So how did you know to well, let's run man most of the time because he's confused about man. You didn't have any film. You don't know anything about him. So I think that kind of
Yeah.
played into Texas Tech's hand. They almost recovered an onside kick, but it was negated because OSU's return man signaled for a fair catch before right after it went 10 yards. So yes, Texas Tech recovered the football, but since they called for a catch, it was just downed right there as a normal kickoff instead of being Texas Tech football. So heads up play by the Oklahoma State return man that may have
Yeah.
saved the game for them at that point because Texas Tech had a lot of momentum. Um, do I agree with them dropping a spot? Not really. Um,
Yeah.
but I can see your argument of they looked sloppy and they could have played better. But what do you think about the theory that having that backup quarterback may have benefited Texas
Yeah.
Tech?
I believe they had a little bit of film on the guy. I think he was like an Elite 11 guy. I think if I heard correctly with that Caleb Williams class that had came out, that's what I had heard. So I think they had a little bit of high school film, but nothing college wise. So that definitely I think played into that having a your backup come with no college experience really, and then come in dropping that many points. So
Yeah, I mean, hey, at least the future looks right for Texas Tech at the quarterback position. I guess you can say that because I mean that was impressive.
definitely,
All right, well, that kind of wraps up last week's games. Let's dive
it's
into this
very
week
impressive.
because this week is huge, guys. So last night we already had a big game. West Virginia beat Baylor 43-40. We kind of caught the last end of
Huge.
this at work. Baylor again. They had their backup quarterback in as well. So Shapen got hurt after throwing for 326 yards, and in that fourth quarter they had to have Kyron Drones come in and play quarterback for them, and I think that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back for Baylor. What were your takeaways last night? I mean, you got to see a little bit of it.
Yeah, for sure. Not sure what Baylor was doing. West Virginia looking a little better than we expected that game. And is this their only win of the season? Not sure, but Baylor just didn't look like they came to play. Um, they did have to travel, so that could have had to do with it. But I mean, I think Baylor is just a better team there. I think they just had an off week, which I mean most teams do have midseason. So little awkward moment because I know West Virginia is the worst in the Big 12. So not really sure what this means for Baylor, but I mean overall I think it was a good game. I think it could have gone either way. Um, definitely Baylor should have and could have won that game, but just a couple plays, that's what happened. That's what can happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that Baylor turned the ball over too many times, and I think that having your
Yeah.
backup in crunch time really hurts you as a team because it's just it's hard to have a 40-second drive with your backup quarterback and feel confident in that. So props to West Virginia. They're not the worst team in the Big 12 anymore. They've got a Big 12 win. OU does not. So I mean,
OU is even worse
yeah, as of right
as
now,
of right now.
Oklahoma, the worst team in the Big 12 standings wise after that win for West Virginia. You
We're
see it.
living in a parallel universe
we are
right now.
we are living in the twilight zone. Um, so and then the other game last night was UCF and Temple. The Black Knights beat the Owls 70-13. They just clowned them. They had pretty nice jerseys though. If you didn't catch that game, UCF wearing
Jeez.
all black with blue chrome on the inside of the helmet and blue on the sides of the jerseys and stuff. It was really cool. They were doing I think an homage to space or something like that. So it was really cool to see those jerseys, but not really cool to see them win by 57 points. So tough sledding for the Temple Owls this season. But those were your Thursday night games. Tonight you have Navy and SMU at 6:30, and UTSA and Florida International at 7. So some crap games tonight for Friday. I'm sure that first game will probably be better than the second one, but you never know. Yeah, Friday night games not really drawing the eyeball. So let's get into the meat of this, Cole. Let's get into the meat of this schedule on Saturday. Let's start it off at 12 Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. We will be bringing this to you live, play-by-play on twitch.tv/SUBSCIBE Gamer. That's ST0NERGAMER. We'll do play-by-play for this game. Number 10, Penn State, traveling to the Big House to play number 5, Michigan. Give us your thoughts on this one, bud.
I think it's going to be close. I got Michigan with the win, but I think Penn State is going to come to play, so it should definitely be a good one. A lot of defense,
Yeah, definitely a lot of defense
low
in this
scoring.
game. Yeah, low scoring. Yeah, I mean, I think both teams being in the 20s is maybe reasonable. Um,
Yeah,
I think Sean Clifford for Penn State has not been asked to do a lot of decision making post snap this season because the running game is so good. So a lot of pre snap stuff for Sean Clifford, but he isn't having to make decisions after the ball is snapped like a bunch of the RPO stuff was the previous seasons without any running game really for Penn State. So it's a different looking offense for the Nittany Lions, and they have a good offense and a good enough offense to win this football game. On the other side, you
yeah.
have J.J. McCarthy leading the way for the Wolverines, and they just kind of been looking mid all year. What gives you confidence in the
Yeah.
Michigan Wolverines this weekend?
I like him. I actually have him in my Heisman rankings now, so I just think he, come crunch time, can get it done and will score and beat um, the Lions there. So that's just why I have him. I think he's playing a lot better. They have been looking mid so far, but I think he'll take care of business when it comes down to the last few plays there.
Wow, breaking news: J.J. McCarthy in Cole Murphy's Heisman spotlight. Jesus Christ, I did not see that one coming. Um,
He's 5. He's
hey,
5. He's
hey,
5.
5. Okay, hey, at least wow, he's just on there. Okay, all right. Um, another 12 Eastern, 11 a.m. kickoff has Kansas traveling to Norman to play the unranked Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners are wearing their Unity jerseys, honoring the first African American player to play on scholarship at OU. Are you thumbs downing diversity right now, Mr. Murphy? Are you a racist? Is this your racist
Let me
podcast moment?
let, let me clarify this before it gets out of hand. I was doing thumbs down to the uniform, not to the unity and the whole spirit behind it. I think that's great. I think that's great. I I think that's great. I like what they're doing. I just think the jerseys aren't very. I think they're
I
mid.
I like them.
Everybody's hyping them up on Twitter, but
I like them.
I,
Uh,
I'm not a huge fan. I think they could have done. I think they could have done better.
oh, they could
But
have
I
done
mean,
better, but I
uh,
mean, I still like the fact that they're at least incorporating black in there somewhere. I think it looks
yeah,
okay. I'm not saying it's my favorite jersey ever, but I think it's good enough to piss off the olds and the traditionalists, and it's not
Yeah,
terrible, but it's not like, oh, I would like to see them wearing this every week. I get that, but I think it's a good addition to the
yeah,
rotation. Throw it in there, we'll see it every 3 or 4 years. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, they could have done better, but I still like it. But what are your thoughts on the game in general? Do you think having Bean as the backup for Kansas is going to be enough to propel OU to be able to get over that hump and get their first Big 12 win? Give us your diagnosis, Doc.
I want to say I want to say OU is going to take care of business this week. I mean, uh, they're coming off two horrible losses, so I mean, I hope that they would have picked up the marbles here, but um, I'm going to go with Kansas here. I like the Jayhawks. I've been going with them all year long, so I'm not turning my back on them now. I think they got cheated last week. They got cheated on it was a passing interference and it was a missed call on the play before, and they got cheated. They had both their backups in. I'm rolling with the Jayhawks. Go Jayhawks.
Okay. I mean, I can't debate that. I mean, look, I get that if Dylan Gabriel plays this game, it's going to be hard for OU not to have a chance. He hasn't been
Yeah,
throwing that accurate of a football, and I know that's been the problem. At least it was against TCU, with a lot of the passes going over the head or being to the left or the right of the intended target, way too far out of wingspan reach. So if he can reel that in and kind of get that fixed this game, this could be a turning point for OU. I don't count them out of anything. That's the thing is, yeah, two bad losses, but I really don't even count the last one. I know that sounds crazy. You
yeah.
lost 49 to
Okay,
nothing, but you didn't even have a
the
chance
started.
walking in there. You didn't have a chance walking in there. When we picked that game, when it was a 7-point spread with Texas, we were like, this is easy money. I mean, yeah, we did the podcast on a fucking Monday, but it's like it was an easy cash grab because I mean, yeah, the number got up to like what 9.5, 10 maybe, but it didn't matter. We knew
Yeah, it's
Texas was
9.
gonna roll in here and probably get the dub. I mean, did we think it was gonna be this bad? No, 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 no. We didn't think it was gonna be this bad, but we were like, there's no way Texas loses this game with Davis Bevel at quarterback, and so I don't even know if you can really count
Yeah.
this as like a legitimate loss. Like it's gonna count,
Okay.
but I just
Yeah.
think that if you look at the TCU game, that game means more to me than this game does.
Hmm.
And yeah, that game was shit too. That you should never have lost by 30 plus to that TCU team. I don't think they're great, but we'll see how well uh, they play this weekend. But I just think that because that game, we'll get into that game because that's going to be prime time as well. 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern. Oklahoma State TCU. We'll get into that. But I don't think that they're that good. You know what I'm saying? I think they're probably the fourth, fifth best team in this conference, but they're playing better right now. What are your thoughts on that perspective of OU having maybe just one technically conference loss? Do you think I'm crazy or what?
No, I like that. True. They didn't have
Start
Gabriel in
start
there,
over. You were
and
cutting
he
out
was.
there.
Oh, you're good. I like your thoughts on that. I think it's true. Having Gabriel not in the game takes the whole game away from the Sooners because they need him to win. If they don't have him, we don't have a chance. So I like that you did take that game out last week because he didn't play. But I mean, if you look at that TCU game, like you were saying, it does have a lot more to say. But he was still losing when he was in there. They were still down. I think by at least two touchdowns or more. So um, I think that was also a bad game for him. But I mean, I like him. I like the Sooners a lot. I mean, they actually have a chance if he's in the game. So yeah, I like your take there for sure. I believe he has to be in for the Sooners to have a chance.
Yeah, I think that was more of the headline, more of the point I'm trying to make. It's without him, I just don't think OU is going to beat anybody. Um, but yeah, I like your pick of Kansas. I think they could come into Norman and win for the first time in God knows how
Uh,
long. I mean, it could happen. And I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't
since
think
it was a
it.
dirt field,
And after last week, I don't think anybody would be surprised to see them at least put up points, at least 20 plus points on this
it's gonna
defense.
be yeah,
Um,
it's gonna be high scoring. Sorry to interrupt you
no, no,
there.
no, no, you're good.
It's gonna be high scoring. It's gonna be high scoring. I think so because Kansas can score, and then if Gabriel's in there, OU's gonna score because I don't think they're gonna stop OU's offense, but I also don't think we're gonna stop Kansas's offense either. So I think it's gonna be in the 30s. Come down to it, maybe like a 39, just some crazy 41-39, just something off
And so
like that. I
take
could
the
see it
over.
being a
He
high
says
score.
take the
I
over.
don't think it's gonna be close.
Cole says take
Yeah,
the over. Um,
yeah.
All right, I like that. I like that. All right, let's move on a little bit here. Let's go down to the 2:30 primetime matchups here. Number 3 Alabama traveling to Knoxville to play number 6 Tennessee. Uh, could
Ooh,
Tennessee has not won against Alabama in the last 16 times they've met. Only once have they, and it was 2006 or something, just something crazy.
it's like
Um,
2006.
and so it's been a long time since Tennessee's had a shot. What do you think about this game? Volunteers have a shot this week?
Man, I want to say they do, but Roll Tide. I think they're gonna uh, take care of business, and I just don't think the Volunteers are gonna be able to wrap their head around this game. I think it's gonna be too big for them, and I got Alabama rolling here by at least 2 touchdowns.
Ooh, a 2 touchdown win. Do you think
Yeah,
that changes if Bryce Young doesn't play?
if he doesn't play, I like it being closer for sure. I think they might actually have a chance to win here, but if Bryce Young's in, yeah, I got him taking care of business.
Okay, so either way, you're picking Alabama to win this game. I,
Yeah,
I'm I'm with you. I think if Bryce Young plays, Alabama probably walks away with a 7 to 10 point win. If he doesn't, I kind of like Tennessee. If they don't shoot
really.
themselves in the foot, it's just kind of one of those things where believing in Tennessee is hard to do against Alabama because of the recency bias, because of the fact that over the last decade and a half they've won one time. I just think that that's the big thing. Is it's like, can they get it done even when they're supposed to get it done? The answer has usually been no. So it's kind of hard for me to lean into this and go, oh yeah, Tennessee, if Bryce Young doesn't play, is going to win this game. But if he doesn't, I like the Volunteers. And if Tennessee pulls it off, where do you go from here if you're Alabama, Cole? I mean, you dropped to number 3 this week. Uh, where do you go if you lose to Tennessee this weekend with or without Bryce Young?
This is huge. I mean, either way, if they have them, if they don't, and they lose, they're gonna drop out of that top 4 slots. They'll probably go to because uh, you got Tennessee at 6, or
Hmm.
is that
Yeah.
what's Tennessee at 6? So that would move, I believe, Tennessee up into the top 4 slot, and I think it'll drop Bama to 6. But I think this means if the Volunteers can pull this out, which I hope they do, but I just don't. I think the spot too big for them. I think the game's too big for them. I don't think they're gonna. And it's in Tuscaloosa, right?
No,
So
it's in
I just think
Knoxville.
it's gonna be just too big. Oh, it's in
Yeah, Rocky
Knoxville.
Top. That place is
Okay.
gonna be lit.
Uh, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that is gonna be very lit. Okay, I thought it was in. This whole time I'm thinking it's in. They might actually have a chance this week if Bryce Young's out, like you were saying. I'm switching mine. If Bryce Young is out, I like Tennessee here, but if Bryce Young's in, I got them pulling it out. I still think it's too big of a stage for Tennessee, even though it's at, like them beating Bama. But yeah, I got Tennessee close. But yeah, I got Tennessee. Only if Bryce Young's out though.
All right, yeah, I like that. And then Oklahoma State down to Fort Worth to play TCU, number 8 against number 13. Who gets the job done between these two?
This is the hardest pick for me of this whole this week. So I didn't know really where I was gonna decide on spot because I've been going back and forth between it. But I like Oklahoma State here. Uh, I think they do pick it up and figure out what they did wrong last week. Not that they did really anything wrong, but pick up their mess, little sloppiness that they made last week versus Texas Tech. So I like it being close for sure. I think this is going to come down to the final play or the last kick. I think it's going to be that close, but I like Oklahoma State pulling it out.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one where Oklahoma State fans are going to be white knuckling their
Yeah,
armchair for the whole entire game. I really do. I think that
no, it
Max
is.
Duggan's playing well. They've got a decent
Yeah,
running back.
very
I
well.
mean, I mean the offense for TCU is not the is for once this year. I'm going to say it. It's not the problem. And coming into the season, I
Yeah,
thought that was the problem. I said I don't know if TCU's offense is any good. The defense seems to be pretty good. But I think now the roles have reversed. I think the defense is kind of mid. because you gave up 31 to
Mm-hmm.
Kansas, even though, and that's Kansas's backup quarterback for the most of that game. So I kind of had to factor that in there
And
too.
running back.
And the backup for Kansas was the starter all last year too. So he has experience.
Yeah.
There's film on him. Now they might not have expected him to play, so they might not have looked at it at all. But I mean, they probably had their chances to. Um, I just, I think that TCU's been playing good offensively, and the defense has been kind of lacking. So it's kind of been a pleasant surprise for Horned Frog fans to see as many touchdowns offensively as they have this season. But I think this is going to
Yeah.
be a close game. I mean, I could see TCU winning this game. I don't like,
Yeah.
really any. I feel like it should be a pick 'em. I feel like if the spread isn't, a pick 'em,
Honestly.
it just has that, you know, nobody has an advantage kind of vibe to it. But well, we'll see. We'll see in the afternoon how well that goes. Another one at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 that a lot of people will be watching is number 15 NC State playing at undefeated number 18 Syracuse at Syracuse. Um, are the Orangemen a viable candidate for beating Clemson this season? Talk to me.
I haven't seen much on the Orangemen this season over at Syracuse, but from their record and let me check out their schedule. Who have they played so far? I need to go in more in depth on them.
I can
I
hear. I
haven't
here.
checked these
I can
laws
pull it
out.
up. That way we see your face. I can pull it up. I
Okay.
got it right here.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, let's. I'll pull it up. Uh, so they've beaten Louisville. They've beaten Connecticut. They've beaten Purdue. They've beaten Virginia, and they have beaten Wagner. That's their 5-0 schedule, and they've got NC State, Clemson, and Notre Dame as their next 3 games. So we'll
Who
see
they
how.
played with competition and what was the score? Because
Say it again. Sorry.
we'll see. Yeah, I just want to see what big team they played and what the score was. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, they haven't played anybody big. Louisville's probably the best team they've played, and they won that game 31-7. They beat Virginia 22-20. Those are kind of the only two
Not
that
saying
were
much.
close. They beat Purdue 32-29. So they got 3 close wins against teams that I would say are not great. But these next 3 games for them will tell
Yeah.
you how good they are because they have NC State this week, Clemson the week after that, and then Notre Dame the week after that. So this is the
Yeah. Very very
it
tough
ramps up a little bit.
schedule. Yeah, a lot of it. Very tough schedule for the Syracuse Orangemen for sure. I don't know. I like. I mean, they got that ranking, of course, and they're undefeated. But I'm gonna go with NC State here. I think they take care of business. I think not that they're a fraud, but I just don't like them beating NC State, even though they are undefeated. What you said, those mid teams they played, it was a close call. So I don't
Yeah.
think they'll end up taking care of business versus them because NC State. I mean, they've had at least more competition than that, and I like how they've been playing. They played Texas Tech, um, they played Clemson, and I think they had good games there. So I like NC State
Yeah,
by a
I think
touchdown or so.
I think you're right. I
Yeah,
think Syracuse hasn't played anybody, and I think it's nice to see them ranked. But I think that this is the week they kind of
it's funny.
fall off. I mean,
Yeah.
if they win though,
Hey.
I don't give them a chance against Clemson, but I think it'll be a fun game to talk about because both those
Oh
teams
yeah,
would
it'll be
be
big.
presumably undefeated. But yeah, that just that kind of tells you how people are thinking. But this is a home game for Syracuse. That place in that dome, the dome is weird, bro. Like the dome is weird up there. Like the JMA, JMA
Never seen
wireless
this a
dome
stadium.
is weird. So it's a weird place to play, and kickers have said they have quite a tough time kicking in there. So we'll see if that factors into it at all. Clemson has Florida State this weekend. That's a night game at 7:30, 6:30 Central. Do you give Florida State a chance here? I mean, they've been playing pretty decent.
No, no, not even a little bit. I just I don't I've never even liked them at the beginning of the season, so I got Clemson here for sure.
Okay, all right. I guess I'll move on from that conversation. I've got some Florida State fans that might disagree and say they've got a shot of keeping this game close throughout. And the thing
Love to see it. Love to see it.
I'm gonna shock you right here. I'm picking Florida State to win this football game.
Wow.
I am picking the Seminoles to win this football game solely on the basis that I think their
Pick of the
offense
week.
can score better than NC State can.
Okay.
Now, so just to give you kind of a rundown of how the season has gone for Florida State, I'm gonna pull it up for you real quick. And so you start off the season,
Okay.
You beat Duquesne 47-7, right? You should have done that. Great win, right? You beat LSU
Yeah.
24-23. We watched a little bit of that game uh,
Parkland.
at work, and that was a good one with the blocked extra point. They beat Louisville 35-31, but we saw that Syracuse beat Louisville 31-7. So I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know if that means that Florida State is worse than Syracuse. Now the last 2 weeks they have played NC State and they've played Wake Forest. They lost to Wake Forest by 10 and only lost to NC State by 2. So, I mean, I feel like they could have a chance here. If Clemson
Yeah.
plays if Clemson plays as bad as they played against NC State, Florida State's going to have a shot. Because if you only lose to NC State by 2, that means, if you go by, that whole entire like, oh, if this team beats this team, it's better than that team, yada yada yada, you would say, okay, well that means that Florida State's only a 2 point, differential between, the
Yeah.
result against Clemson with NC State last week. So shouldn't they lose by 12? Well, I would say yes, but I think Florida State's offense is better than NC State's offense as a whole. So I think that they would be able to put 7 more points, and maybe they only lose by 5. Maybe they only lose by 3. But I feel like this game is going to be close enough to where at the end of the game, I'm going to be sitting there going, Florida State's got a chance. And maybe I'm crazy,
I can see it.
but
No.
I think that people are underestimating how talented this Florida State team is just because they've lost the last 2 weeks to teams that I think are better than them. But I think that
Yeah.
Florida State plays up to competition a lot. So I guess just that's why I think this weekend Florida State is going to be my upset pick of the week against Clemson. I think this is the week. So
I can see it. I can see it.
I just have a feeling. So I'll go ahead and just write that down so no one can say I didn't write it down. I am writing down Florida State plus whatever versus Clemson as one of my locks of the week. Okay, I'm putting it down. So please sue me.
That, that's
Now,
big.
so the other game at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern is Utah is going to be hosting USC. This game is at Utah. USC is going to have to travel for this game. The Utah fan base is going to be rabid. They just lost to UCLA, so they're going to try to have something to prove here to say we're still in the conversation. Who you got in this one?
USC. USC. I just think Caleb Williams continues to get it done. I don't think this will be the week that he lets it slide. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Utah is definitely not a slouch. I think they're going to put up points, but I think USC will end up getting it done with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that USC probably wins this game. It'd be hard for me to say no, uh, because I think that Utah is just kind of mid, and it stinks to say that, but I think that's just facts. I think they are kind of a middle of the road team. They could still beat a team like an Oregon. They could still beat a team uh, uh, like a Washington. I mean, it could happen, but I still feel like you said, I think Caleb Williams is playing too well. So yeah, I like USC in this one too. But
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of wraps up the games. We kind of touched a little bit on Mississippi State and Kentucky. I think you picked Kentucky to win this game,
Yep. If
even
their
with if their quarterback
quarterback's in
plays,
there.
and I agree with
Yeah.
that. I think if he doesn't, I think Mississippi State gets it done. So that's kind of
Yeah.
this weekend's games. Really excited to see how everything pans out when it comes to that. So let's get into kind of another week to week subject, the Heisman update. So I see at number 5 you've got JJ McCarthy as a prospect at number 5.
He's in there now.
Who are we looking at? Who? So he replaces your Ohio State running back Henderson, who you had at the 5 spot last week. Are you keeping everything the same with Young, CJ, Caleb, and Spencer Sanders as your top 4?
Yeah, those are the other four. I just like him. Of course, he's been leading his team every week so far, and he has the numbers to put him on the map for me at least at the number 5.
All right. I'm not opposed to that. I mean, it's definitely different. I don't know if anybody else has him at number 5, but I mean, I can see your argument. I mean, he's been getting the job done. Can't debate that. I had Stroud as my 1,
Number 5 Wolverine.
Young as my 2. I had Dylan Gabriel. Oh no, I didn't. No, sorry. I
I
did
was gonna
not.
say bye bye Gabriel.
I had CJ Stroud at 1, Bryce Young at 2. I had Sam Hartman as my 3rd spot, Spencer Sanders at 4, and Caleb Williams at 5.
Okay.
I kind of think that I'm liking where
Keeping it?
everything is panning out. I think I'm gonna move Sam Hartman
Okay.
down to 4 because I think that
Okay, I
he's just
figured.
kind of losing some steam here. But I think that gives a really good opportunity for Spencer Sanders to kind of move up to that number 3 spot, especially if he gets the job done this weekend against TCU. I still have CJ Stroud as 1
Oh yeah.
and Bryce Young as my 2, and rounding out my top 5 at the 5 spot, I have Caleb Williams rounding out my top 5. So that's the Heisman update for you. Not a lot of change, but a big change for Cole Murphy as he puts J.J. McCarthy on his Heisman spotlight as the 5th best chance to win the Heisman here going into week number 7. He's going to need to beat Penn State to get it done. Let's see if he could do that this week. So let's go ahead and visit the S0ner Sportsbook, the only sports book where you are winning money every single week because that's just how we roll. We had a very good weekend, and one of us here hit the whole entire parlay over the weekend and booked a solid 6.3 G's or 6.4 G's coming in with the sweep. And guess what? It wasn't Cole Murphy. For the first time this season, we have a parlay hit for myself here. So I've got big money to play with. Cole only missed 1 pick over the weekend. We only had really 1 pick of a difference, really. We picked the same side to most of this, except for the Kansas game for you and the Utah game. So you only lost $100, but you get $100 back. So you're still at $300 to mess with this week. I'm at $6,989 now after the parlay hit. So we have some stuff to go over for this weekend because this weekend is going to be crazy. We already have the 6 games.
2,000 a game.
Yeah, I don't have a choice, do I? Actually, I do. I could bet $6,988 on one game and then just split $1 up between the rest of them. Just bank on one game having to come through. But I won't do that because that's no fun. So let's go ahead and tell people which 6 games on this recorded message you are going to get this weekend from our sportsbook play. The first one, of course, is Penn State and Michigan. So PSU versus Michigan. This game is definitely one that you're gonna want to keep your eye on. It is Michigan -7 is the the line. And you're picking Michigan to cover that one?
Yep, I like that.
So Michigan -7 is Cole's first pick. I am going to pick the other side of this and pick Penn State plus the 7 as my first pick. And how much money are you putting on yours? You have $300.
50.
50? Okay, 50 on Michigan Wolverines. I will put $1,000 on the Penn State Nittany Lions. So we are.
So you're going with Penn State?
Yeah, I'm going with Penn State. I'm going with the Nittany Lions. I'm going for number 4 and number 5 teams in the country to lose this weekend. So I am I am pushing my luck for sure. Second game on the list is Bama versus Tennessee. I'm sure you're interested to hear this line, Cole, because this game being in Knoxville,
Yeah.
giving them a little bit of a boost. But Alabama's still an 8.5 point favorite over
Okay.
the Tennessee Volunteers. Looks like Bryce Young is going to play this game. So,
I was gonna say, when are we finding that out? Yeah, if he's playing, I like that. Where
yeah,
it's at.
I, I believe that they are. He is playing this weekend, as far as I know. Um, to, um, let's see. I don't know for sure if he's playing, but we're gonna find out. Click and see here. Oh, it says at least 19 hours ago, Nick Saban mentioned Thursday that Young did practice some this week, but his status for Saturday against Tennessee remains up in the air. So no real word on whether or
Hmm.
not he is going to play, but they're right now 8.5 point favorites. So you like them still at 8.5?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we got to keep it there.
Boy, um, this one's tough. I think I'm going to take
It
Tennessee
is.
plus the 8.5. Um,
Woo.
and I'm going to put 500 on that one. I think that he doesn't play. That's my take. I think he doesn't play, and I think
Okay.
Tennessee gets. If they lose by less than a touchdown. I mean, I don't have to have them win this game, but I think they lose by less than a touchdown this game. If Bryce Young
Fair enough.
doesn't play. Um, third game, Oklahoma State versus TCU. Um, TCU is a
This
three and
one
a half
hurt.
3.5 point favorite. What'd you say?
Oh, TCU 3.5 point favorites. Okay.
Yeah,
TCU 3.5 point favorite there.
yeah.
I guess I like. I guess I like OSU plus the 3.
OSU plus. How much money are you putting on the Bama game? Sorry, I didn't ask you that.
No, you're good. 50. I guess
50.
because
Okay.
50. Yeah, 50.
And then the OSU game, how much you putting on that one for the Pokes?
50.
50. Okay. It's 50 all the way down so far. Um, I'm also picking Oklahoma State plus the 3.5, and I'm going to put another $1,000 on this one.
Jeez.
So I'm putting the big money on it. Next game up, NC State versus Syracuse. And this game has Syracuse favored by 3.5. So the Orangemen come in expected to win this game.
I got the Wolfpack $50 plus 3.5.
$50 on that one too.
The
Again,
orange.
NC State. I mean, hey, I like the boldness, but I'm also gonna go NC State plus the 3.5, and I'm gonna go ahead and put $2,000 on this game because I think it's
Woo.
ridiculous to have
Yeah.
them favored in that game considering the schedule that Syracuse has had. This next game is Mississippi State versus Kentucky. Um,
Yeah.
it's looking like better games to watch this weekend if I can find it. Pass it already. I might pass it. You at Kentucky? There it is. Mississippi State -4.
You check on there, see if it says if
See if he's playing.
yeah, see if he's playing this week,
Let's see.
or see if they have any comment or word on it yet.
I'll look at it. Roster. Seems like he will play this weekend. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Then Kentucky, I got the
Got Kentucky.
Wildcats here.
Kentucky
Yeah.
+4. Okay.
Yeah.
How much are we putting on
And
that?
then 50.
50. Okay, you're just gonna do
I
50
guess
all the way
all of
down. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, all the way down
You
because
do 50 all the way down.
50. Yeah, that's
That's fine.
300.
Yeah, if he plays, I'm gonna have tough time not picking Kentucky. So I'm gonna also pick Kentucky +4, and I'm gonna put
We're up 700 next week if we parlay it out.
yeah, and I'm gonna put 2,000 on that one too. So
Ooh.
2,000 on Kentucky, 2,000 on NC State. That's 4. Got 5, 6, 50. So I've got $489 on this last game.
Jeez.
Let's go ahead and do it. It's USC versus Utah.
Yeah, Utah. Yeah, USC.
And that's going to be later on in the evening time, and that spread is Utah -3.5. So Utah favored in this one.
Really?
Yep.
Hmm.
At home, Utah -3.5.
Interesting.
I'm picking USC +3.5.
Yeah, same here.
And I think that's gonna do it for that. So St0ner Sportsbook coming at you. Never a loser, always a winner on the St0ner Sportsbook. Let's go ahead and get some locks of the week going here. What do we got up next here? Oh, a big segment coming up to you right here. Re-ranking the top 10 teams in the country. That's what we'll be touching on right now. Let's talk about it. Top 10 teams in the country right now. At number 1, you have Georgia. At number 2, you have Ohio State. Alabama at 3. Clemson at 4. Michigan 5. Tennessee 6. USC 7. Oklahoma State 8. And Ole Miss and Penn State rounded out at 9 and 10. Mr. Murphy, what is your current top 10? Explain.
I don't how OSU dropped, like you were saying earlier, and then I don't like. I don't really like Ohio State moving up. I still think SEC is way harder conference, even though Bama did have that close call. I just think the SEC play is just so much harder week in, week out. So I still have Georgia 1, Bama 2, Ohio State 3. I guess I want to switch. I was gonna say Clemson 4, but I want Michigan 4. Clemson 5.
Okay. And that's
6.
Yeah, 6.
Tennessee,
right?
I guess that's a good 6. That's fine. And I like Oklahoma State 7. I like Penn State 8. 9 Ole Miss, and then that would put
USC at 10.
USC at 10. Yeah,
okay.
I just think the Pac-12 is. I just think the Pac-12 is no competition there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't really have a problem with that. Penn State might be a little high on there for me. I think Ole Miss might be a little bit better than them.
Think
but
so. Okay.
So here I'm gonna even piss you off further. I'm gonna have Ohio State at 1. Ohio State at 1.
Wow.
I'll have Georgia at 2 and Bama at 3. I have right now my number 4 spot Oklahoma State at 4.
Wow.
5 I've got Michigan. 6 Clemson. 7 USC. 8 Ole Miss. 9 Penn State. And 10 I'm gonna put Tennessee at 10. That is my revised version of the top 10. Now, obviously, let's talk about kind of your discrepancies here. You have, like you said, you have Bama at 2 instead of 3, but you kind of explained that because the SEC. Michigan and Clemson, you swapped them. Is that because Big Ten better than ACC? Is that kind of the thinking there? Yes, no.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I just think the ACC is not as good, obviously, and then I think Clemson's a fraud this year as well.
Yeah. You have Tennessee at 6, Oklahoma State at 7, Penn State and Ole Miss 8, 9. Why drop USC down to 10? You said because Pac-12 is really weak. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, and then they've had a couple
Yeah, they
closer
have.
games this year, and
Yeah,
then
they have.
I don't think their defense is very good either. I think that they would lose to any of those teams I had put above them if it
Yeah.
came down to it.
No, I think you've convinced me. You've convinced me. I'm swapping Tennessee and USC. So USC will be
Hey,
USC will be 10 and Tennessee is at 7. I think that's
fair enough.
because I think
Fair
Tennessee is
enough.
better than Ole Miss. So
Yeah.
I kind of messed up there. I might have gotten ahead of myself. So yeah, but I have Oklahoma State at number 4, and I'm going to tell you why. Um, a
Ooh, tell
Big 12
me, please.
Big 12 conference. You know, they've taken care of business when they've needed to. If they do it again
It's
this
tough.
weekend,
It's
if they
tough.
do it again this weekend, there should be no debate
Yeah,
about them possibly being in the conversation of the best team in the Big
definitely.
12.
Oh yeah,
So I think I'm kind of preparing for the future here, but I think that they are good enough to be at that number 4 spot. The reason I think they're better than Michigan is I don't like
fair
Michigan's
enough.
quarterback play at all. You might have JJ McCarthy at number 5, but I don't think he's any good.
Okay.
You lost your job to Cade McNamara to start the season, and then you got it back because McNamara stinks, and now you're maintaining.
Yeah.
He's like Alex Smith. He's like game manager, but he can throw the ball a little bit. But I mean that's all that Michigan needs to beat the teams they've played so far, and I think this weekend is going to be a rude
Yeah.
wake up call with Penn State probably beating them this weekend. I know you didn't pick that, but
You
I'm
heard it
picking
here
that.
first.
And I have Clemson at 6, and I
You heard
think
it here first.
yeah, I have Clemson at 6, just because I think the ACC is better than uh, you know. Well, I mean, I think Clemson's better than Tennessee. Tennessee's got a shot to be good, and
Damn.
if they win this weekend,
I, uh,
if they win this weekend,
Tennessee all
I'm telling you, if Alabama beats Tennessee this weekend, you don't have any excuse. But I think that Clemson's got a better defense than Tennessee, and I think their offense is comparable to Tennessee.
okay.
I think the quarterbacks are kind of on the same level, but I think Clemson's defense is better. So I think that's why I have them ahead of Tennessee. I have Tennessee at 7. I do think they're better than Ole Miss and Penn State. I think they've been playing good enough to take those compliments and have them be accurate. But I think they lose this weekend and probably drop to 10 or 11, maybe even lower. Um, Ole Miss at 8. They've got them at 9, so that's not really a big switch up. And Penn State they had uh, at 10. I have them at 9. I think both those teams are better than USC. Just because of the competition they played during the season. I think if USC were to play either of these teams this weekend, USC would lose. And that's why I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people are picking Utah to win this weekend because I think that they smell USC is
Right.
on the verge of blowing it. But I don't know. I think that Utah isn't that good. If UCLA can beat you, I don't think you're that good. I don't think UCLA is that good. So I think that you have to look at
Yeah.
this weekend as USC should take care of business, even though they're the underdogs heading into this tomorrow. So we'll see. But that's a good modded top 10. I think mine's a little obviously more controversial, but I think that yours it has its own viability. I think both of these are very good reassessments of where these teams are talent wise and schedule wise. So I don't have really a problem with either of them. You obviously
Hey,
have a
add us
problem.
to the committee.
You obviously have a
Add us
problem.
to
Please explain what you
the.
disagree with me with on this.
Oh, I just I think if you put Tennessee and Clemson, even you could send Tennessee down to Clemson. I think Tennessee Volunteers would roll over Clemson. I just think that if you put Clemson in the SEC, I don't think they win as many games. I think they're a mid team there, and I think they've been skating by each year, specifically because they're on top of the ACC with no competition there. I mean, there's some good teams, but really coming down to the country's best, which they're ranked one of the country's top 5 best right now. I don't think uh, I don't think they're better than Tennessee.
I mean, I get it.
That's my
I
yeah.
mean, look, the way I see it, this could be a bowl game matchup. Tennessee loses this weekend.
I would like that. I would
Clemson
like
loses
that.
to Florida State. I would like to see it. Let's make it happen. All you got to have is
Ooh,
Florida State win this weekend.
yeah. Hey, and you called it, so that'd
I
be
mean,
huge.
well, hey, I don't know why.
We're sending you to Vegas.
I
We're sending you to Vegas
yeah.
if this
Uh,
wins.
if that pick comes through, you can send me to Vegas. That's fine. All right, so let's get into
Yeah,
the
and
last
then
topic. The last topic before our picks, our locks of the week here. Picks wise, we do our picks based on the parlay picks. So Cole went last week. You went lost 2. You won 5. Right? You went 3-2. No, we had 5 games. So yeah, 3-2. So 3-2. So Cole moves on to 16-12 on the year. So still making money with Cole. I cleaned the board, so 19-9 on the season. So only 3 games up though on him. So I'm not looking too great. But 19-9 is not bad. We'll see how bad this weekend goes for me. But let's go over locks of the week. I'm obviously picking Florida State against Clemson as one of my locks, and I think that spread is actually lower than you would think. Where is it at? Florida State. Come on, don't do this to me. Florida State. That State. Florida State. Florida State. I hope this means you're great. Florida State. Florida State. Florida State. There it is. Clemson's only a 3.5 point favorite, so so they think this game's going to be close. So plus 3.5 for me with Florida State. My other lock is going to be. I'm going to pick the one from this week. I'm going to pick. I'm picking Oklahoma State plus the 3.5 as my second lock of the week. Of the week. Plus 3.5. And then if you want to do yours, remember we do NFL games as well. But they have not been treating us as well. Cole got his last week. He's 5-4 going into this week. We're both 5-4 on our locks, so we're tied right now. So locks of the week, going swimming. You're still making money with our locks as we are 1 game above 500. So you can't be that mad at us. What? Give me yours real quick.
I like Bama taking care of Tennessee.
Okay.
And Oklahoma State taking care of TCU.
Okay.
And then I guess one NFL one.
Yeah, I'll pull that up real quick. I've got that.
Oh, perfect.
I've got that right in front of me. So NFL odds this weekend. I'm gonna go with. Boy, this is. I'm gonna go Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings -3 against Miami Dolphins. Any teams you want to look at? I can give them to you. The Rams are 10.
Who are the Bengals?
The Bengals are 3-point favorites against New Orleans.
Yeah, I like Bengals here, taking care of the Saints.
Okay, Bengals taking care of the Saints. The LA Rams are a 10-point favorite against the Panthers.
Oh yeah, they're gonna win that too for sure.
See, the Cardinals are 2.5 point favorites over the Seahawks, and the Bills are 3 point favorites against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Interesting. That's gonna be a good game.
So you want to do the Bengals game as your lock, though?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Bengals this
Okay.
lock. I just think they're a better team than the
Okay.
Saints for
So
sure.
Bengals -3 versus New Orleans. Okay. So those are locks of the week. Um, so last topic of discussion before we get out of here. Um, how bad? How incredibly bad is OU's quarterback play for the future of this team? So obviously Dylan Gabriel has another year he can come back for after this season. Um, that's a bright spot, I guess you could say, compared to what's waiting in the stables. What are your thoughts on the quarterbacks that are behind him if he were to get hurt again anytime soon?
I mean, and it is likely too that he could get hurt. Having a concussion and then coming back, that's no good. It's never been good for anybody. So, un, likely to happen again, but hopefully it doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't hope that on anybody. But yeah, if he's out, they might as well just put Nick Evers in and play for next year. I don't. I see Gabriel coming back, but who knows? Nick Evers could steal a spot away.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go with Booty or whatever his name is. I wouldn't even mess with those guys.
yeah, that you have Jackson Arnold, a big time recruit, supposedly coming in this upcoming season as well
Oh
for the
yeah, I've heard of him.
Sooners.
I've heard of him.
Um, but obviously, right now you've got Micah Bowens, General Booty, Davis Bevel, Nick Evers are your other four quarterbacks right now. A lot of those guys probably going to be leaving after this season if Dylan Gabriel is still the starter next year. The question I have is how does OU not have a viable backup quarterback when you look at all these other teams like Texas Tech and Kansas
Yeah,
and Baylor. Um, those, I mean, even Gunnar Gundy for Oklahoma State looks better than Davis Bevel does, and that's really
Bevel.
it's really interesting to me to think that. Do you think
Yeah,
Lincoln Riley's departure has any effect on the quarterbacks coming here to Norman, or do you think that it's one of those things where you have a team like OU that is so, blue blood, whatever, that they should be bringing in these 5-star guys. These guys are 4-star guys, 3-star guys. They're top recruits, but why are they not panning out uh, the way that highly ranked recruits should? Is that just bad recruiting, or is it just bad luck?
a little bit of both. I'm not sure how many recruits that Lincoln got out of those guys that are there now, but yeah, it just you can never really tell coming from high school to college who's going to be um, obviously the best guy out there. So I'm not sure who else. I think Lincoln Riley leaving had a huge effect on our quarterbacks because I think we would have had a solid backup for sure if Lincoln was still there.
Yeah, you think because he's like the quarterback whisperer that, I mean, because technically, I mean, we already know that they pursued Jackson Dart in the transfer portal. We already
Yeah,
know that they pursued Skylar, uh, Casey Thompson in the portal as well,
yeah.
and Adrian Martinez. So they definitely had their hands in there with those three guys. I just want to know what made those guys be like, oh, Dylan Gabriel's gonna be here. Like I have no shot. Like I just don't know. I mean, do you think we were just really high on Dylan Gabriel because the numbers looked good when he was at UCF, and we thought, oh, translate it to Big 12 talent being on the outside as opposed to UCF talent, and it should be a no brainer. Oh, you should be better off, and Dylan Gabriel should be better off. But you look at last night at 70 points being put up by UCF. They didn't look like they were missing skill guys. When's the last time OU put up 70 plus points? I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's been a minute. Preseason a couple years ago. Yeah, I mean, I think for sure, if Lincoln Riley was here, we would have more depth at quarterback. I think just OU was more worried about who's going to be the head coach this season more than quarterback because we didn't even know who's going to be leading the team. But as soon as we found that out and then got Gabriel, I think everybody just thought he was going to be the guy, and then they had those couple back Lincoln Riley leaving, to where we don't have a good backup.
Yeah, it's just kind of shocking.
Because I think a lot of the quarterbacks wanted to, yeah, a lot of the quarterbacks that were coming to OU, and even the ones that were there already, I think they were more set on wanting to have Lincoln as their coach
Yeah, I mean
with
that.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
could be it. I'm not saying it isn't, but just interesting to think about, considering just how good OU is supposed to be as a program, facility wise, coaching wise, and then not to have any of those guys pan out to where Jeff Levy's going. If Davis Beville's not playing well, we're gonna throw this guy in. I mean, that's just amazing to me. Like he's just literally saying, you guys are so bad that Davis Beville gave us the best shot, and then
yeah,
he didn't play like barely any, and you're still gonna sit there and double down on it and be like, yeah, that was the right decision. Like I just don't know. I just feel like if they're really that bad, then I would just transfer. There's just no point in being there if I'm not gonna get any snaps and this guy's terrible and they're saying I'm worse than this guy because I'm not getting snaps, but this guy played literally the whole almost effing game. So I mean, it just it just baffles me.
oh yeah, I'd be gone for sure if the coach Levy said that the Beville was a better chance for sure. I'd already be in the portal.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not? I mean, I just think that was really dumb of him to say, and I just think it will probably backfire in that way. But if Jackson Arnold is as good as he says he is, then it might not even matter. But it just depends. I mean, if these recruits who were supposed to be so good, they're not panning out, why should we have faith in this next kid? I have no idea. But I mean, a lot of people are saying good things. So I guess that wraps up episode number 7. Any last thoughts going into the weekend, Cole?
Go, go Pokes! I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. I'll have my eyes on that one as well. Um, Remember, we are on Podvine and we are on YouTube, so you can find this podcast both places. First 10 subscribers to Podvine get a sticker, a Stoner Sports podcast decal for your car or your laptop, whatever you want to use it for. So go ahead and subscribe on Podvine and get the audio only version. If you want the YouTube version, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We'll have all that posted for you on our Twitter. Make sure to follow us on there as well. For Will Warner back here in studio and for Cole Murphy out in the world, I bid you a good weekend. Cole? Any last thoughts? Any words?
Oh, sorry, I had cut out for a little. No, sir.
All right. Well, we will catch you next week and keep your stick on the ice.